Before we get started, let me just say that it might be best to watch the whole set of Steve Ingram's Easy Birds and Wildlife with the OM Systems OM-1, all the videos, 1 through 8, through at least once, so you have a better idea of what you're getting into before you start to make any changes to your OM-1 settings. It will all make more sense that way and might save you time in the long run. This is the basic introduction to Steve Ingram's Easy Birds and Wildlife with the OM Systems OM-1. Here I will cover the method itself and the program mode choice, as well as some first modifications to program mode that will get you started in your Steve Ingram's Easy Photo journey. Bird and wildlife photography does not have to be difficult. A camera like the OM-1 has such sophisticated automation that it is possible to let the camera take care of the technical side of photography, from exposure to white balance to focus, leaving you, the photographer, free to do what only a human mind and a human heart, what only human eyes can do, to see and frame the wonders of the natural world. Set the camera up to produce well-exposed, well-focused JPEG images in the widest variety of situations, with the widest variety of subjects, and with the least amount of effort on your part. And then let the camera do its job while you do yours. Why the OM-1? I use it because of its lower cost, relatively lightweight, compact design compared to other mirrorless and DSLR options out there today, and for its class-leading focus and exposure automation. Subject detection, with automatic tracking and focus on the eye, is a huge benefit for the bird and wildlife photographer. And the OM system includes several lenses that are ideal for bird and wildlife photography. The one I use is the ED 100 to 400 mm IS zoom, with the equivalent field of view of a 200 to 800 mm lens on a full-frame DSLR. 800 millimeters is enough to fill a significant portion of the frame with most wildlife and many birds at a reasonable distance. It weighs less, it costs less, it has great lenses, great image quality. The OM-1 is, to me, the obvious choice. I shoot JPEG images in program mode, using 3 basic sets of modifications, one for stationary or slowly moving birds, one for birds in flight and active wildlife, and one for larger wildlife. Why program mode? The OM Systems OM-1, unlike most modern digital cameras, does not have an auto mode, and even if it did, I would not be using it for birds and wildlife. Program is actually programmed auto mode. The difference between true auto and program modes on most cameras is that in auto, the camera decides what you're trying to focus on and where your exposure should be based, as well as the balance between the 3 factors that make up exposure. In program, you can control or modify where the camera focuses, where exposures are taken, and how the basic exposure parameters are balanced. With the OM-1, and to an extent with other digital cameras, but the OM-1 is really good at it, you can also control how the JPEG images are processed in the camera so that you get the most consistent and pleasing results right out of the camera without a lot of post-processing. Why JPEG? More properly and to the point, with today's modern cameras, why not JPEG? With the sophisticated JPEG engine in the OM-1, you can set the camera to make most, if not all, of the adjustments in camera that you would have to do in post-processing if you were shooting RAW, and it will do them at least as well as you could after the fact, and often better. That means more consistently satisfying images. You're going to end up with a JPEG anyway if you use the image in any format for any purpose. If the camera can do it for you, why not let it? With that in mind, the first modifications we're going to make for my easy method for birds and wildlife on the OM-1 is to set the camera to program, the P on the main control dial, and the image quality setting to large superfine JPEG. That's on Camera Menu, page 1. Note that you can set image quality for each of the 2 card slots of the OM-1 independently. We've already discussed why JPEG, but using the least compression will increase the quality of your images and only cost you a bit of memory space on your card. Memory is cheap these days, so large, superfine. While we're at it, we'll set aspect ratio to 4:3. 4:3 uses all the pixels of the sensor. The only time you might want to change this setting is if you're shooting stills to include in a video. Then 16:9 might be better, or images to upload to Instagram or other services like it, where a 1:1 might do better. But of course, you can crop your 4:3 images to whatever you want in post-processing. And while we're on the first page of the camera menu, we will set Shading Comp to On. When shooting JPEG, this will remove the shadowed edges or the center hotspot common with many lenses for digital cameras. This is an example of a step you would have to do manually if you were shooting RAW. In the next video, we'll begin to adjust the exposure automation for more consistent results when shooting birds and wildlife using the OM-1 and my easy method.